Welcome to another lecture on engineering mechanics. So in this lecture, we will solve few numericals on resultant of force system. We will learn three methods: parallelogram law, triangle law, and Lemmy's theorem. We will solve few numericals with these three laws. So let us start the lecture. Let us read the first question. A barge is pulled by two tugboats if the resultant of the forces exerted by tugboats is a 5,000-pound force directed along the axis of the barge. Determine A part, the tension in each of the ropes, knowing that alpha is 45 degrees. So let us understand the given problem. We are given one diagram also along with this statement. So there is a barge which has some load on it, and it is pulled by using two tugboats. One is labeled as A and second tugboat is labeled as C. So if we will read the statement, you will find he has given us the resultant of the forces exerted by two tugboats. You can see these two tugboats are connected to the barge with the help of cables, or we can say ropes. So it means if these two tugboats are moving towards right direction and they are pulling this barge, that means there is some tensile force, or I should say tension, in these two ropes. So in the statement he is saying that the resultant of the tensions in these two ropes is acting along the horizontal or the axis of the barge. Fine. So this is the axis of the barge. So resultant of the tensions in these two ropes is acting along this axis. This is not given in the diagram, it is written in the statement. If the resultant of the forces exerted by the tugboats is 5,000-pound force directed along the axis of the barge. So here is the axis. It means that resultant is acting on this particular axis. Now one more important point to understand, that these two boats are pulling the barge towards right. It means a resultant force will also act towards right. This is a very important point to understand here. And he has given us the value of alpha in the statement as 45 degrees. So what we have to find? We have to find the tension in each of the ropes. So we have to find tension in this particular rope and this rope. Fine. So whenever we get problems like this, first of all, we have to draw the free body diagram. So how to draw the free body diagram? It is very easy. We will first draw what is given in the diagram, and after that, what is not labeled in the diagram, we will label that. Like in this diagram, the resultant force of 5,000 pound is not labeled. So we will label that, and we will show the direction of that force as well. And then we will show the tensions in these two ropes. So let us construct its free body first. So over here I have made the free body. So you can see I have made barge, I have made two tugboats, and I have labeled those boats as A, C. Then point B is also mentioned in the free body where the ropes are connected to the barge. Then after that I have shown the axis of the barge with the dashed line, and on that axis I have shown the value of resultant also, which was given in the statement. Then I have labeled the value of alpha from the statement on the free body. See over here, value was not mentioned, but it was given in the statement. So I have labeled that value here. Then after that, in these two ropes, I have shown the tensions. So over here it is written rope 1. So we have labeled tension T1. Over here it is mentioned rope 2. So we have mentioned tension T2. And we have labeled other angle also, which is given 30 degree in this diagram. So it is very important that we should draw free body carefully, because our answer, or we should say the accuracy of the answer, will depend upon the correctness of the free body. Okay, so what we are asked? We are asked to find the tensions in these two ropes. That is, we have to find T1 and T2. Now we have to analyze this diagram carefully, and we have to find the force system acting in this problem. If you see carefully, you will find that tension T1 and tension T2 are acting at a common point and they are in the same plane. It means this is a coplanar concurrent force system. So in order to solve this problem, we can apply either parallelogram law of forces, or we can use triangle law of forces, which we have learned in the previous lecture. Now we will apply both laws to this problem in order to find which particular solution is more easy. But when you will actually solve any particular problem, then you have the freedom of choosing any one law to solve the problem. But over here, I will discuss both the laws. Means I will apply parallelogram law also on this problem, and I will apply triangle law of forces on this problem. Okay, so let us start with the parallelogram law of forces. So very first step in the parallelogram law of forces is that we should identify angle theta. In the previous class, we have learned that angle theta is the angle between the two concurrent forces. So over here, the two concurrent forces are T1 and T2. And the angle between these two forces is 30 plus 45. That means 75 degrees. So first of all, in the first step, we should write the value of theta, that is 75. Now in the next step, we know we have to find T1 and T2. It means now we will write the formula which we know for parallelogram law of forces. So let us apply the first formula. And what is that formula? That formula is related to resultant of the two concurrent forces, which are coplanar. Now according to this formula, R square is equal to P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta, where P and Q are the two concurrent forces and theta is the angle between those two forces. So in the present example, P and Q are T1 and T2 and theta is 75 degrees, which is angle between T1 and T2. Now let us put the values. So what is R over here? R is also mentioned in the problem. What is the value mentioned for R? It is 5,000 pounds. So we have entered the value of R, 5,000. then value of P we are taking as T1 and value of Q we are taking as T2. So as these two values are unknown to us, so we are writing T1 and T2 only. So T1 square plus T2 square plus 2 T1 T2 cos theta. What is theta? 75 degrees. Now if you will see this particular equation, you will find that in this equation there are two unknown values and it is a single equation. It means we cannot solve this equation. So let us name this equation as equation 1 for time being, and let us apply another formula from parallelogram law of forces. So what is that formula? That formula is related to the direction of the resultant of the two forces. So it is equal to tan alpha equal to q sine theta divided by p plus q cos theta, or you can say f2 sine theta divided by f1 plus f2 cos theta. Now let us put the values over here which are known to us. Now what is alpha? Over here you can see we have entered the value of alpha as 30 degrees. It means we are considering this force as F1. Remember, in the last class we learned that if we are considering angle of resultant with a particular force, then that force will be F1 and other force will be F2. So over here alpha is written as 30 degrees. It means we are considering angle with this force for resultant. It means this is F1 and this is F2, or I should say this is P and this is Q. So you can see over here now we have written T2 sine 75 degrees divided by T1 plus T2 cos 75 degrees. So you can see the value of T1 and T2 are unknown to us, and this is a single equation. So let us see what we can get from this equation. After this, what we will do, we will shift this particular denominator on left hand side of the equation. You see, we have shifted this to the left hand side of the equation. Now we will multiply tan 30 with T1, then we will multiply with T2 cos 75. See, we have converted tan 30 into 0.577, which is its value. I am writing that equation again. So after that we will multiply this value with these two. So we have multiplied this with T1 and we have multiplied this with T2 cos 75 over here. And after that what we will do, we will shift this part towards right hand side of the equation, and then we will divide that part by 0.577. It means we will get value of T1 in terms of T2. Now we got the value of T1 in terms of T2. So we can put this value in the first equation. So what was first equation? This was first equation. So now we will put the value of T1 over here. So you can see we have entered the value of T1 in the equation number 1, which is equal to T2 1.4158. So this value is entered here. So we took the square also. Fine. Similarly, we have replaced this T1 by this value. See, T2 square, because this will multiply with this T2. After this, what we will get this complete equation in terms of only one variable, that is T2. There is single equation and there is only one unknown it, that is T2. It means we can solve this equation further to get the value of T2. So that value will be 2588.9 newtons. It means we got our first answer. Now after that what we will do? We will say put the value of T2 in equation 2 to get the value of T1. So put the value of T2 in equation 2. Over here it should be 2 in equation 2. This equation. We will put the value of T2. We will get value of T1. So remember this is not 1. This is equation 2. Then you will get value T1. So it will be equal to 3665.3 newtons. Now you can see we have solved this problem with the help of parallelogram law of forces. But you can see this was quite lengthy procedure for this particular problem. But now we will solve same problem by using triangle law of forces. Okay, let us move to that part now. So before applying triangle law of forces, let us recap our last lecture. In the last lecture, we have learned about this formula. What we have learned in this formula? That if we have two forces which are taken in order, then the closing side of the triangle will be the resultant of those two forces. And you can use this formula to solve for unknown values. So we will make use of this formula to solve that problem. Okay, now let us start the solution. So this is the free body which we have made for the problem. Now we will solve it through triangle law. So what will be the first step? First step will be make force triangle and find all internal angles of the triangle. Of course, first of all, from this free body, we have to make the force triangle. Okay, now we will see how to make the force triangle. First of all, we will represent the two concurrent forces. Okay, let me show over here. Okay, this is the final answer. So right now don't look over here. Just focus on this part. I will explain this later on. So let me represent the two concurrent forces here. So we have first force, that is tension in rope 1, and second force, tension in rope 2, and this is the axis of the barge. T1 has angle 30 degree and T2 has angle 45 degrees. Now in order to solve this problem with the triangle law, we have to first draw the force triangle. So how we can draw that force triangle? We have to take these two forces in order. So how to take these two forces in order? See it very carefully. What we will do, we will draw the line of action of this T2. So line of action of T2 is this. This is the line of action of T2. And we know we can apply law of transmissibility, and through that law we can shift T2 from this place to this place, which is still on the line of action of this force. So net effect will remain same. So see, I'm going to shift this force from this place to somewhere over here. Fine. See, line of action is maintained. It is same. So if you will do this, then there will be no change in the net effect. Now if you see carefully, these two forces are now taken in order. Means one force is starting from the tip of another force. So if we want to complete a force triangle, then we have to draw another force vector in reverse order, or I should say close this triangle by drawing a vector. So you see, we have drawn a vector in this direction, that is the closing side of the triangle taken in reverse order. So this is the resultant of these two forces. Okay, now we have made the force triangle. But in order to apply that formula which we have learned in triangle law of forces, we need to find all the angles of this triangle. So let us find all the angles now. But you see carefully, this force earlier was represented here. So this angle was 45 degrees. So now you see the same horizontal line is drawn here with the same force. It means this angle is also 45 degrees. Fine, you see over here. We have mentioned it as 45 degrees. Now another point to understand, this force was 30 degree mentioned in the diagram. So alternate angles. So this will also be 30 degrees. Once you know these two angles, you can subtract these two from 180 degrees. Then you will get the third angle of the triangle. I hope the fourth triangle is clear to you, how to draw the fourth triangle for this particular problem. Now it is very easy. We will apply the formula. So let us apply the formula. So what is that formula? That formula is T2 upon sine of the angle between other two forces. So what is the sine of angle between other two forces? So let us see what are other two forces. Other two forces are R and T1. So between these two forces, angle is 30 degree. So see what we have written over here. T2 divided by sine 30. Fine. Now this will be equal to R divided by sine 105. Why we have taken 105? Because we have to consider that angle which is in between the other two forces. So for R, other two forces are T1 and T2. So between these two forces, we have found angle of 105 degrees. So that is why we have written R divided by sine 105. So from this equation, we can find value of T2 because value of R is known to us. What is that value? 5,000 pounds. So put the value of R2 and take sine 30 on other side and we'll get value of T2. I hope this first part is clear to you. Now let us discuss the second part. So in the second part, this equation will remain same, but on the other side, now we will consider second force which we have to find. So it will be equal to T1 divided by sine of the angle between other two forces. So what are other two forces? R and T2. So between R and T2, we found 45 degree angle. So that is why over here it is written T1 divided by sine 45 degrees. Now R is known to us. So put the value of R here. Then what you will get? You will get the value of T1. Now you can see, bache, that this particular solution is easy. Means only few calculations are required to get the answers. But what is another point to see over here? That you must know how to make the fourth triangle. So if you have good knowledge how to make the fourth triangle, then you can go for this method. It will be easy for you. But if you feel that it is difficult to make the fourth triangle and you feel that parallelogram law is more easy for you, then you can adopt that method. It is purely your choice. Now in the next part of the lecture, I will solve same problem by another method. That method is known as Lemme's theorem. So first of all, let us see what is Lemme's theorem. Lemme's theorem states that if three forces acting at a point are in equilibrium, each force is proportional to the sine of the angle between the other two forces. So now focus over here. We are shown three forces and let us say these are in equilibrium. Then we can use this particular formula to solve the problem. So it is similar to the formula which we learned in triangle law of forces. So we call it as sine rule as well. Fine, bache. So what is it? Let me again explain. So if we pick first force, then we have to divide that force by the angle, sine of the angle between the other two forces. So for A, other two forces are B and C. So that is alpha. So that is why over here A is divided by sine alpha. Similarly, if we pick next force B, then we have to see the angle between other two forces. Other two forces are A and C. So between these two, angle is beta. So that is why over here it is written B divided by sine beta. Similarly, we will write for C divided by sine gamma. I hope Lem's theorem is clear to you. Now let us apply this theorem to the same problem. Okay, this was the free body which we made for that problem. Now let us see how we can convert this particular free body into Lem's theorem. So very easy. We need three forces starting from a common point. Fine. So let me show you over here. So see, T1 and T2 are represented as it is, but this resultant is taken on this side of this intersection to show it like Lem's theorem. This is the application of Lem's theorem now. But one important point to understand, that when we shifted this resultant vector on other side, there will be no change in the net effect because we have applied principle of transmissibility. Fine. You see over here, the direction is also kept same, that is towards right. It is not changed. But over here, we have to find the angle between these three forces first. Now between the first two forces, angle is directly known from the free body. We just have to add 30 plus 45 degrees. So that will become 75 degrees. Now let us find the angle between T1 and R. So how to find that angle? Look over here. If I sketch this horizontal line this side, then total angle will be 180 degrees. So when we subtract 30 degree from 180 degree, then we will get angle between T1 and R. That will be equal to 150 degrees. Now similarly, we have to find angle between T2 and R. So if I draw this horizontal line on this side, then again this angle will be 180 degrees. So from 180 degrees, I will subtract this angle, that is 45 degrees. So I will get angle of 135 degrees between T2 and R. Now we got all the forces here and we got the angle also between these three forces. Now let us apply the sine rule or Lem's theorem. So what we will do in this? We will say T1 divided by sine of the angle between other two forces. For T1, what are other two forces? T2 and R. So what is the angle between these two? It is 135 degrees. So see what is written over here. T1 divided by sine of 135 degrees. Now let us pick the second force. So second force will be divided by the sine of angle between other two forces. So what are the two forces? T1 and R. So angle between these two is 150. See, we have written T2 divided by sine 150 degrees. Similarly, we will do for resultant. So for resultant, other two forces are T1 and T2. Angle between these two is 75 degrees. So that is why we have divided R by sine 75 degrees. Now in this equation, we have to find T1 and T2. And we know the value of R. So first we will compare these two only to get the value of T1. Then we will compare these two to get the value of T2. So let us apply over here. So when I will apply T1 sine 35 equal to R sine 75. So from that formula, we will get the value of T1. Then equate these two, you will get the value of T2. So I hope all the three methods, that is parallelogram law, triangle law, and Lem's theorem, is clear to you. So one thing you should keep in your mind, you can use any of these three laws to solve a particular problem. But it depends upon you only that which particular law you want to apply. Fine. So we have seen that parallelogram law was lengthy for this particular problem, but Lem's theorem and forced triangle law were easy because there were less calculations. But it is not standard. You will find some problems where you will see that parallelogram law is easy to apply and forced triangle law or Lem's theorem are difficult to apply. Fine. So this you have to see while solving the problem, that which law I should use. Okay. Now we will discuss the second numerical. Let us read the statement. A steel tank is to be positioned in a pit. Knowing that alpha is 20 degrees, determine by trigonometry the required magnitude of force P if the resultant R of the two forces applied at A is to be vertical, and B part is the corresponding magnitude of R. Okay, let us solve this problem. So first of all, let us see what we are given in this problem. So one steel tank we have to position in this cavity shown or in this pit shown to us. And in order to position this steel tank in the pit, two forces are applied. One is of 425 pound and it is applied at 30 degrees to the horizontal. Another is a force of P newtons and it is not given to us, and it is applied at an angle of alpha, which is mentioned as 20 degrees in the statement. So P is acting at 20 degrees. And what else is mentioned? He says that determine the required magnitude of P if resultant R of these two forces applied at A is to be vertical. It means the resultant of these two forces is acting at A and it is acting in vertical direction. And we have to find value of P in the first part. So let us find that value. So first of all, we have to make its free body. So how to make the free body? Very easy. Whatever is shown in the diagram, repeat that on your notebook. So first of all, we will repeat this diagram on our notebook and we will add those values in the free body which were not labeled in this diagram. So what is not labeled in this diagram? The resultant force R and this angle. So see, in the free body, after drawing this diagram, we have labeled that value of alpha 20 degree mentioned in the statement. And we have shown the value of resultant also, and we have shown it in vertical direction because it was mentioned in the statement that it is acting in vertical direction. Now you see that in the diagram these two forces were shown acting in upward direction. So we have to show the direction of resultant also in upward direction. Then what is the next thing we should mention in the free body? The angle between the two concurrent forces. So what is the angle between two concurrent forces? Very easy. This is 20, this is 30. So what will be the angle? It will be 180 minus 50. So that will be 130 degrees. So you see it is mentioned here. After this, we will apply Lem's theorem, because I feel that with that theorem we can easily solve this problem. Even we can apply parallelogram law also. So let us use Lem's theorem here. So for that we will arrange the forces in this manner. So you see we have kept these two forces as it is, P and 425 over here, 425 over here, 425 and P. Then resultant is shown on the other side, but its line of action is maintained, means we are applying law of transmissibility. Fine, you see resultant is shown here. Now next is we should find the angles between these three forces. So angle between P and Q we have already labeled, that is 130 degrees. So we have labeled that angle here as well. But now we have to find angle between R and P. When you will shift this R over here. Now let us see how to find that angle. Bache, very easy. When you will represent R over here, then this line is representing 90-degree angle. So 90 degrees plus 20 degrees. So that will become 110 degrees. Then let us find angle between 425 and resultant R. So as we have shifted R over here, so see again, this particular line is at 90 degrees to resultant R. So 90 plus 30. So it will be 120 degrees between R and 425 newtons. Now we can easily apply Lem's theorem. We are using same formula. So P divided by sine of angle between opposite forces. Opposite forces are R and 425. So between these two forces, angle is 120. So P divided by sine 120. It will be equal to 425 divided by sine of the angle between opposite forces. Opposite forces are R and P. So between these two forces, angle is 110. So we have written sine 110. This will be equal to last force, that is R. So that will be divided by sine of the angle between other two forces. For R, the other two forces are P and 425. So R divided by sine 130 degrees. Over here it is written wrong, bache. It is written 30 degrees. It should be 130 degrees. So we should make correction. After that, we will first compare these two equations, then we will compare these two equations. Let us first compare these two to get value of P. So you will get P as 391.72. Then we will compare these two to get the value of R. That will be equal to 346.49 newtons. So I hope this particular numerical is clear to you. Now I will take the doubts.